G'day, Roy at Sunland Caravans here. Look, I'd like to show something that we're going to be showing visitors at the Brisbane Caravan and Camping Show, and that is the different types of wall materials that you can get in caravans, the pros, the cons, and the benefits and the downsides. So I've got the three most popular materials here with me today. So the first one, most of you will be familiar because heck, more caravans probably been made of this material than anything else. So this is a very thin aluminium cladding. In the case here, we've gone for a stucco. There are two different types. There's a smooth finish or there's the stucco finish. Of the two, the smooth finish is really super easy to damage. The stucco, not so much. Now that's been applied onto a timber frame. So timber frames on caravans are generally 18 or 19 mil thick. So this is that size of your timber. Then they put a ply on it. So you've got the outside cladding, timber, and then a ply internal. And again, I've chosen a nice smooth ply to show you on this demonstration panel. Now I want to dismiss a couple of myths about this. One of the things that I hear constantly is people saying timber is better than aluminium because it's got flex in it. So let me show you, when you build something like this and you've got the timber and you've got the ply, there's no flex in it. This is a solid panel, and it's solid because that's the way in which it's made, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing, by the way. You don't actually want this to flex. So this is very good, and actually the weight's not too bad. The only downside of timber is timber's going to rot. It's only a question of when, not a question of if. That's the only downside. The rest of it is it's a lighter, easier, more cost efficient material. So we'll come back to that later. So put that one aside. Probably the next most popular or common one today is the aluminium frame. Now the aluminium frame tends to be a little bit bigger. This is 25 instead of the 18 that you saw in the other one. This has got a 4.5 mil thick fiberglass cladding on the outside, and then it's got a ply on the inside of the van. So you actually get this nice fiberglass finish on the outside, and again I've used a nice smooth ply to show the inside. Now both these and the other one I showed you have got insulation in it. The difference in the insulation on this one is the insulation is 25 mil thick, so it actually fills it up completely. But generally speaking, there isn't 18 mil foam, so the foam in that is usually a little bit thinner. So the insulation on this is probably better than the insulation in that, but that's another story. Again, I want to break the furphies. MIG welding, TIG welding, plastic blocks. What do all those things mean for you as an owner in terms of your, well, let me tell you, absolutely bloody nothing, because again, once that's all put together, nothing's going anywhere. It's the joining of the aluminium to the ply and to the fiberglass that gives it its strength. That's incredibly strong. But in the case of this, the fiberglass is really strong compared to the aluminium, which is by comparison extremely weak. So the chance of you damaging this versus damaging that is huge. So what is the advantage of the aluminium? Well, the advantage of the aluminium is it doesn't have the disadvantage of the timber. That is to say, this isn't going to rot where the timber will rot. And that's the big advantage of aluminium over timber. So all this business about flex and absorbing is absolute, quite frankly, absolute garbage. So if you're one of those telling people that, please do yourself a favour and stop doing so, because it's just absolute nonsense. Now let's talk about weight. These panels are identical in size, and I've got to tell you, actually, this is a little heavier than that. Not a lot, but it's definitely slightly heavier than the timber frame. So timber frame versus aluminium frame, timber frame's likely to be lighter than the aluminium frame, in spite of the fact most people believe it'll be the other way around. Having said that, if I was to put this aluminium onto this aluminium frame, this one would be lighter. It's mainly heavier because of the fiberglass. So I could use a thinner fiberglass. Another story. So let's look at the third one that's up and coming. This is actually sandwich panel. Now, sandwich panel is fiberglass, so you've got fiberglass inside and outside, and then it has a resin core in the middle. Now, the advantage this product has is, first off, it is completely rot proof. Completely. Isn't this, you say? Well, actually, no, it's not, because it's got ply on the inside, which means this side, this ply itself can rot. So this isn't completely rot proof. Timber, we know it's rot proof, we know it will rot. This, not so much, but it's still possible. This, it's not possible at all. It's made of a thin layer of fiberglass, so the fiberglass on this is nowhere near as strong as the fiberglass on the other one, so impact, but it's a heck of a lot stronger than the aluminium. So the big thing on this is, compared to that, this is almost featherweight. This is just weighs almost nothing. When it comes to strength, again, whether we go this way or we go this way, I would argue all day long that's every bit as strong as the fiberglass with the aluminium frame, and a heck of a lot stronger than the aluminium cladded and timber frame. So this one's got the advantage of, well, actually, you can't rot. So let's just say we were to pierce the skin on this by, you know, oh, I don't know, 25 mil, 20, no, let's take an easy one. Let's say we penetrated this by 5 mil. 5 mil penetration on this, 5 mil penetration on that, 5 mil penetration on that. What would the consequences be? Well, for a start off, you would have to plug those two materials, plug that penetration immediately before moisture can get in, because moisture will do damage. It'll do the most damage on the timber frame, less on the aluminium frame, but it'll still do damage. What damage does it do to this? Zero, zip, zilch, nothing at all. So we then get to other elements such as repairs. This will be the cheapest and easiest and quickest to repair of the lot. The fiberglass on this at 4.5 mil thick is really easy to repair. You'll get a perfect match every time. Not so much on this. This, when you repair this, you may get colour differences and so forth. But in terms of cost, they probably cost about the same to repair. So we then go to the aluminium. Cost of repair on the aluminium. This will cost you one heck of a lot more to repair, because to repair this cladding is done by each piece interloping with each other. They call that a Pittsburgh seam. It just tucks in underneath each other. And you can actually see that little loop there. This piece comes up. So to repair it, you've got to start at the bottom and pull the sheets off till you get to where there are pieces, which means if it's a repair high on the van, for example, that could mean the entire wall. So anyone that's had a repair this will tell you you're talking thousands of dollars. So cheaper to buy in the first place, cheaper to manufacture, reasonably light, so got some good qualities there, but it's going to rot, and if you need to repair it, it's going to cost you a damn fortune. So in summary, we then look at the last factor. The last factor is we're in Australia, and in Australia we suffer very hot conditions and very cold conditions. So which has the best thermal qualities? And that's in other words, which one's going to keep you warm in winter or cool in summer better? Which one is going to save you when it comes to, well, I don't know, your air conditioner working properly, your fridge working properly and so forth? Well, let me tell you, this isn't going to be the one here. The aluminium is going to get hot, it'll transfer the heat through. Insulation on that is actually very poor unless you put an insulator inside it, and if you do, then it needs to be really good insulation. I would suggest that they are not particularly well insulated out there. So I'd say from a thermal perspective, this is going to be the hottest or the coldest, depending upon what time of the year we're talking. Then comes this baby. Now this baby's got some really good advantages with thermal qualities. A, the insulation's thicker, it's got a big thick layer of fiberglass to get through. So I'd say that's not bad at all. But neither of those products will come close to what this baby can do. This is like having an esky. So when you build a caravan out of this material, There are different thicknesses, different cores, but basically they're all pretty much the same. You start with a composite panel or sandwich panel base on your caravan, so that's one floor, one big piece. Then you have your two side walls, and then you have another piece that goes from the back all over and down the front. That is one panel. So basically when it's made out of this, there's only 4 panels to make the whole thing. So there's none of the joins, none of the gaps that you're going to find in this sort of material, none of these seams, none of this. There are no joins. There's no need for things like checker plate on the outside. In fact, when we build this, we use that beautiful Raptor coat finish on the outside. Just really, it's more for aesthetics than it is for anything else, just to break up the big white walls. But basically, it's a heck of an advantage. So when it comes to different types of material, there is only one other. And the next one is that they're making them now with timber frames, and then they're putting a thin layer of aluminium paneling on the outside. Now these ones that have got aluminium paneling on the outside are very, very easy to see or to pick, because you'll see there are joins in it. When you see that aluminium panel, the problem is that unless it's glued correctly to the timber frame, that could actually pull off at a later date, and we are seeing examples of that happening today. So just be careful if it's an aluminium cladded van and it's flat panel. Ask them if they're using tape. If they're using tape, you've got the potential of a problem. So there is yet another product. However, it's only a slight variation on this one here and has the same levels of problems that this one can take. It's just flat instead of having the ripples in it. Look, I hope that helps you understand a bit more about the types of materials that we're using to build caravans today. None of these are bad. Let me make this clear. Not one of them are bad. Not one of them is so bad that I'd be saying to you, for God's sake, don't buy that. This has been around for a very, very long time. And in fact, I would argue for the industry's take, we probably should all be building them like this. Because at the end of the day, we've got to see these caravans fall off the edge of the cliff and stop being there and available, so that we can actually ensure that there's a demand for products moving forward in the future. So we need to get rid of the products. We need them to eventually disappear, and this product will eventually disappear. Not so much with these, they're going to be around for a lot longer. So, you know, there's possibly a good argument for this. Again, I repeat, there is no such thing as a bad one. It's simply a question of which one's better. But I will tell you, categorically, cooler, lighter, smoother surface, easier maintenance. This is the way of the future. You'll be seeing more of these types of composites coming in over a period of time. And what's really important about these is that they're working better now because of the adhesives that are available. And I'm going to tell you more about the adhesives in another session. So look, again, thank you for time you've taken out to listen to this today. For more information, contact me personally, my mobile telephone number. Come through the Facebook webpage, anything you like. Contact us, give us a call. If you do like these, please do like, subscribe, and hit that little alarm bell. It's important for us to keep going with it. Thank you very much for taking the time, and I'll see you for the next one. Cheers.